Good morning. Today we are going to move forward and start talking about one of the biggest topics of the first semester, which is what's called a linear equation. I've already seen some beginnings of this. All right, so what a linear equation is an equation with one or two variables. We're going to focus mostly on two, and it has no exponents, so the letters don't have any exponents on them. That's what we'll cover second semester, is what happens when letters get exponents. So we've already covered things with one variable. Those were linear equations. We just didn't really do any graphing at that point. But now that we have two variables, these answers fit best on a graph. All right? So it turns out that the answers will actually graph to make a straight line on a coordinate plane. And we're going to look at a basic example and kind of test that out. So first off, we see this problem. X plus y equals 5 over here on the left. So I put down some basic answers there in red. Of course, 0 plus 5 equals 5. So if I graphed 0, comma 5, that would put me right up here on the y-axis. And then, of course, 1 plus 4 makes 5. So if I graph that, that's over 1 and up 4. And then 2 plus 3 makes 5. So that's over 2 and up 3. And then 3 plus 2 makes 5. That's over 3 and up 2. 4 plus 1 makes 5. 5 plus 0 makes 5. And you can already see that they're lining up. If I even did some weird ones, they would line up. That's what I did there in blue. Like negative 1 plus 6, that makes 5. And that would graph over here. 4.5 plus 1/2, that makes 5. So over 4.5 blocks and up half a block, right in the middle of this one. And then 2.5, so decimals also. That's 2.5 and 2.5 right in the middle of this block here. You can see that everything is lining up. Now, if you had to predict, would you predict that that would continue even if we found more answers? Well, the answer is yes. So when we're predicting that it continues, but we're not actually finding more answers, because that's just doing too much, we put a little arrow at the end to show, yes, there are more answers in this direction, but not only am I not doing any more, because we've done enough, but the graph kind of is limited. It only goes to 10, and the answers go past 10. I can do lots of answers that work, like 20 plus negative 15. That makes 5. So again, the answers don't stop at 10. So that's what the arrows on the end of your graph mean. All right, so let's try some work for you guys today. First thing you're going to be doing is completing a table and then using the results to graph. And the answers should line up straight. If you get anything that doesn't line up straight, then you've made a mistake somewhere. All right, so in the first one here, I have given you half of every answer. I've given you the x half of the answer. Your job is to find the matching y number that goes with it. So the easiest way to do that is to just go ahead and plug those x numbers directly into the equation. So for example, first one, x equals negative 4 here. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this equation, plugging in the negative 4 where the x used to be. You can see that every time I replace x with something, I use parentheses. So the parentheses go right where the x was, and then inside of the parentheses where you put your new number. Now, order of operations says I'm supposed to multiply first on that. So half of negative 4 makes negative 2. And then negative 2 plus 3, and I get an answer of 1. So I fill in the table with a 1, and now I go ahead and I graph that point. Negative 4, comma 1. So that's left 4 and up 1 space. Now I do it all again using a different number, negative 2. So that's y equals 1/2 times negative 2 plus 3. And obviously this is something you don't have to do by hand. You could do this on a calculator. On a calculator, if you typed exactly what I just put in the box right there. Remember, a fraction bar is a division sign on a calculator, so that's really 1 divided by 2. Then put a parentheses with a negative 2 inside, and then plus 3. And hit equals, or enter. And it'll give you your answer. So half of negative 2 is negative 1, plus 3, I got an answer of 2. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to graph that location. Negative 2, 2. And I'm going to do it again. Now I want to plug a 0 in. So that means now I'm doing y equals 1/2 of 0 plus 3. Well, any number times 0 is just 0, so add 3 and you get 3. There's your next answer, 0, 3. You can see mine are lining up nicely. All right, next one, plug in a 2. So y equals 1/2 of 2 plus 3. Half of 2 is 1, plus 3 makes 4. Now I graph that one over 2, up 4. And then one more, putting in a 4. Y equals 1/2 of 4 plus 3. And again, you can do this on a calculator. I don't need to see any work that's in this right-hand side over here. All of this would be stuff you do on scratch paper. I don't need to see that. I need to see the table and the dots on the graph. That's it. So just the stuff on the left-hand side in the white painting area. All right, so 1/2 of 4 is 2, plus 3 is 5. So I should have an answer at 4, 5. You can see they're lining up. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my line. Excuse me. Put arrows at both ends. Remember, those arrows say that answers keep on going, but we're just done finding them. We found enough for this problem. We know where the answers are. And again, that's what the line is. A line is a list of answers. And again, the line shows all of them. We've actually, by drawing in the line, we've filled in all the weird fraction and decimal answers in between. For example, a spot like right here, that spot has weird fraction answers like over 1/2 and up 3.2 or something weird like that. So again, we don't have to find those. The line is kind of replacing us finding all those bad answers. All right, let's look at one more thing. All right, you're going to have one at the end of yours today. And again, I think you've only got a handful of these. One at the end for the little more advanced one where I didn't fill in the column for you. Well, what do you do when that happens? Well, when that happens, you get to just pick your own numbers. You can pick your own. So it doesn't really matter what numbers you pick. For example, you could pick 0, 1, 2, and 3. Nothing wrong with picking things like that. What you don't want to pick is you don't want to pick things like 47. Where's 47 going to fit in this graph? So that would be a bad idea. You also don't want to make things hard on yourself. Why would you want to pick fractions? Who wants to do work with fractions if you don't have to? So again, be smart and pick things that are easy to do math with. Things like zeros, ones, twos, threes, fours, things that you're good with. But don't pick the numbers you're not good with. If you're bad with your 8s, don't pick 8. All right, again, I think there's only one like this at the end of the assignment, so it's only for the little bit more advanced students. If you don't quite get how to do that, that's fine. But you should be able to do the other ones that look more like this problem, where you're just filling in a table and putting in some dots. All right, good luck.